Hi everyone, my name is Agnes, and first of all, I would like to welcome all of my new subscribers. Thank you so much to all of you who decided to follow my channel. And today I would like to briefly discuss the Man Booker International Prize Longlist that was announced yesterday. And I'm not going to go through the whole list. I will leave a link in the description where you can see the full list of nominees. I will just give you my impressions of the list as a whole and maybe talk about some of the books that I'm most interested in reading. Overall, I think it's a very interesting list. There's also a couple of books that I hadn't even heard about before they were nominated, which is exciting. I'm always looking to discover new authors and books in translation. And so far, I've read two. The first one is The Seven Function of Language by Laurent Binet, translated from the French by Sam Taylor. And this was one of my favorite reads of last year, so I'm very pleased to see it longlisted. I will do a full length review of this, so I'm not going to talk about it much here, but I would say that Laurent Binet is slowly shaping up to be one of my favorite contemporary authors, so I highly recommend it. Then I'm also happy to see Frankenstein in Baghdad by Ahmed Sadavi. This one is a social commentary on the aftermath of the Iraq War. This was actually our first pick for the Distracted by Books reading group over at Goodreads. And I'm still a bit puzzled why it's being marketed as a horror, because it really isn't that. It's a literary novel with some fantasy elements, and I actually think that labeling it as a horror is doing a disservice to the book, because people who are genre readers will be disappointed because it's not scary at all, and those who love literary fiction may dismiss it as genre fiction. So I'm happy to see it on the list because it will probably make more people interested in reading it. As for the rest that I haven't read yet, I'm excited to get to Vernon Subutex by Virginie Despentes. This is a French novel, and I believe the first part of a trilogy. And this is about a guy who owns a record store, and he's in possession of the last recording of this famous musician, and so he has a bunch of people on his tail. And from what I've heard about the author, I think this may be quite a provocative read. I mean, look at the author photo. Okay. um, it seems there are a couple of books on this year's list that blur the lines between fiction and nonfiction. We have The Imposter by Javier Cercas, which is about a historical figure in Spain who it was later revealed lied about being a survivor of Nazi concentration camps. Then we also have Like a Fading Shadow by Antonio Munoz Molina, also translated from the Spanish, which is about the man who murdered Martin Luther King, and he eventually winds up in Lisbon. So the book looks at his time there and probably tries to explore the mindset of a person like that. Then we also have Flights by Olga Tokarczuk, and this was translated from the Polish. And this sounds a bit strange. It's about travel and how it relates to the human anatomy. It's about people who are constantly on the move. To be honest, it sounds a bit weird and challenging, but it's published by Fitzcarraldo Editions, so I look forward to reading it. I trust their judgment. Then we also, of course, have The White Book by Han Kang, translated from the Korean by Deborah Smith. Now, to be honest, I'm a bit apprehensive about this one because both of her previous novels sounded much more appealing to me, but this one seems to be a collection of musings on loss and different white things, and just not sure if I'm going to enjoy it. Although I've heard nothing but good things. Actually, I just recently read a very good review by Natalie. I'll leave a link to her review in the description. She really enjoyed it and made me want to read it, but we'll see how it goes. Another one that I'm looking forward to is The World Goes On by Laszlo Krasznahorkai, and this was translated from the Hungarian. This would be my first read by this author, and I've heard nothing but good things about his writing. And I'm pleased to see that this is a short story collection because I'm hoping that it will give me a good sense of his writing style and also some of the themes that he likes to explore. As for the ones that I hadn't heard about before seeing them on this list, there's The Stolen Bicycle by Wu Mingyi, and this one is from Taiwan, and it seems to be a World War II story. And it sounds very interesting because it's a different perspective on a war story. So I look forward to that one as well. Then there's The Dinner Guest by Gabriela Ibarra. This is another Spanish novel, and I'm a bit hesitant about this one as well because this is a story about the author's grandfather who was a political figure in Spain and was assassinated by Basque separatists. And the thing I'm hesitant about is with these kind of stories, I find that authors often find the details of their own family history much more interesting than we as the readers do. And if it's not purely a memoir, then it's often the case that these stories work better if there's a certain distance between the subject and the author. But I may be wrong. This could be an excellent book. As for some of the books that I was hoping would make it onto the long list, I actually wrote a blog post that I will leave a link to in the description where I discuss some of the books that could maybe make it onto the list. And you can go there and see how well I did with predicting the long list. But of course, I was sad to see that Soviet Milk by Noor Iksen didn't make it onto the list. It would have been amazing to see it recognized by the judges of a major literary prize because there are so very few books translated into English from Latvian or all three Baltic states in general. But oh well. Overall, I'm looking forward to reading all of these books. I'm not sure how many of these I will manage to read before the shortlist is announced on April 12th. But just like last year, I'm going to make an effort to read and review the whole shortlist. So let me know which of these books are you most interested in reading? What do you think about the long list? And will you be following this prize? And see you next time.